soft, turn the key and cooler on. This a pause for relief. Free pass, you don't even have to ask to be the cat in the sun someday.
Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Jay for those of you who are new here. Today I'm going to be talking about the books I plan to read in April. This is a very ambitious TBR, meaning I'm not going to read all of these books, but they're the ones that are on my radar right now that I was interested enough to pick up a physical copy of most of these. A couple on audiobook, a couple of ebooks, which I will be reading on my new Kindle Color Soft. I am coming from the 10th gen Oasis, which I still have. I am trading it in, but I have not done that yet. And so far, I don't get all the hate that the Color Soft has gotten. I actually really like it. So yeah, I'll be pulling that out here in a second. And I'm not sure if I'm going to open this up with an unboxing or maybe do that in between or after, not sure. And so yeah, let's get into these. When I am planning out what I want to read, I usually will look at a little bit of the synopsis, look at if there's like a popular highlight, the reviews, that sort of thing. So if you're interested and maybe want to get some ideas of what you should be picking up next, stick around and let's get into it. Okay, so normally I don't buy so many books at once. One of these is a book of the month for March that has been in the box for weeks. I just took it out today, but Amazon was having their buy two, get one free. So I did pick up most of these on that sale. As I did the Color Soft, I bought that on Amazon's, I think it's like their big spring deals sale. Unfortunately, it's over. It ended, I think, on Sunday, and got quite a good deal on that. Otherwise, I probably would have waited until Prime Day or some other time where it would go on sale. So yeah, we'll get into all that here in a second. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is Deep Cuts by Holly Brickley. This one I'm very interested in because it revolves heavily around music. I love books that do. So I'll just read the first part of the synopsis. My cat is pushing on my foot as hard as he can, trying to use me as a pillow. It's a Friday night in a campus bar in Berkeley, fall of 2000. And that's another thing that drew me to this book, is it takes place in the early 2000s. And Percy Marks is pontificating about music again. Hall & Oates is on the jukebox, and Percy, who has no talent for music, just lots of opinions about it, can't stop herself from overanalyzing the song, indulging what she knows to be her most annoying habit. But something is different tonight. The guy beside her at the bar, fellow student Joe Morrow, is a songwriter, and he could listen to Percy talk all night. That's adorable. Yeah, and I don't know that I need to look up a popular quote. This is a pretty new book, but it does have one on the back. Look, the song whispered to me that day in my living room, life can be so big. Yeah, and I scored a large print of this book, which is awesome. I love large print. Often when I'll get a book physically, I'm looking at the font and I'm like, well, I guess I'm also getting this on ebook because I can't see these words. So yes, I'm really excited about this one. And it looks like the chapter names might be song names. I just think I'm gonna love this one. So that's a priority. Okay, this next one I picked up, I already started. And I started it on my Color Soft because I wanna say I was able to get it through my library. Either that or it was on KU. I'll check on that later. Actually, let's just look at that now. Yeah, it's not on Kindle Unlimited, so I must have got it through my Libby app. Okay, so, and that is Fantastic Land by Mike Bakoven. That's funny, I didn't even know who the author was. I just started reading the book. Mike Bakoven? Okay, moving along. Let's see how far I am. Okay, so little sneak peek at the Color Soft. This is so unhinged. I'm all over the place. Okay, so what page am I on? I'm on page 151. I'm still getting used to having the power button on the bottom. On the Oasis, it's on the top. Okay, so let's see. This is not that long of a book. I'm pretty far into it. Okay, so I've read about this much. It is, it's a thriller, in case you couldn't tell, about these people that are left behind at competitor of like Disney World, Universal, like a big theme park. They're left behind during the hurricane and basically de-evolve into like Lord of the Flies. I don't remember that book. I read it so long ago, but I think that's kind of the gist. Essentially, it starts out, it's interview style. I don't know if I already said that. It starts off with an author's note setting the scene of the horrors that take place in, I think, like the 45 days that these people are left to their own devices. Pretty gory. And because it's told in interview style, like that's definitely a vibe. You might like it or not like it because of that. So I'll read the beginning of the synopsis so you all can kind of get an idea of what this is about, more than me just babbling incoherently, probably. Since the 1970s, Fantastic Land has been the theme park where fun is guaranteed. But when a hurricane ravages the Florida coast and isolates the park, the employees find it anything but fun. 5 weeks later, the authorities who rescue the survivors encounter a scene of horror. Okay, yes, I'm sure this was in my subconscious. I didn't just like piece this together myself. So it's a modern take on Lord of the Flies meets Battle Royale. It probes the consequences of a social civilization built online. I'm really enjoying it. I've pretty much burned through it. And like I said, it's not super long. Speaking of already starting on my April TBR, I do plan to do a March wrap up, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, maybe post it next weekend or wait and do like a March April wrap up together. So we'll see. This next one, I have wanted to get this book for a long time, but that is I Shot by Taylor Adams. I think it's hysterical that on the cover it says the most gripping suspense thriller you will ever read. Okay, hopefully. Okay, so I've read 3 of his other books, and those were, and I'll say them in order of how I read them. Okay, so the first book I read by him was No Exit, and of course I really liked it. It was very atmospheric, very vibey, very much what you expect. Then I read Hairpin Bridge and detested it. Then I read The Last Word, which I loved. I absolutely loved that book. That's probably my favorite book that I've read by Taylor Adams so far. So now we're on to I Shot. See, I don't think there was like popular highlights or anything on this one. And the reviews are pretty favorable. 4.2 on Amazon, 3.9 on Goodreads. Okay, so the beginning of the synopsis. A suspenseful thriller that you won't be able to put down. James and Elle Eversman are a young couple traveling through the Mojave Desert on their way to a new life. I won't continue on. I probably sound like a broken record for those of you who have been around a bit, but I do not like to know the entire synopsis going into books. I like there to be some mystery about what the book's about, and I feel like a lot of times they do give too much away. Really excited to get into this one. This next one I might have to blur out, and that is Acts of Desperation. This one's by Megan Nolan. Some of these books I found kind of by going on a deep dive through Amazon's recommended section. So like anytime you're on a book, they have the frequently bought together or customers also read or you might also like, and I would just click on something in there and then from there click on something and just basically went down a rabbit hole and found books that I probably wouldn't hear about otherwise. So that was kind of fun. And I did that specifically looking for books that were on the sale. So it is kind of an opportunity to try books that maybe you haven't seen anybody else talk about or you never knew existed. Okay, it does have a popular highlight as well. Okay, so this synopsis gets going with she's 23 and in love with love. He's older and the most beautiful man she's ever seen. The affair is quickly consuming. But this relationship is unpredictable, and behind his perfect looks is a mean streak. She's intent on winning him over, but neither is living up to the other's ideals. I'm gonna stop there because it's getting pretty detailed after that, and I've already explained why I don't like to know that stuff. So yes, this is another one that's not super, super long, which I appreciate. It's like in the 270-ish range. Popular highlight. I'll just make sure that there's no spoilery stuff. Oh, I like that one. I'll read a couple. It's a peculiar anger, resenting doing something that nobody asked you to do. And then another one. Being in love was like that to me. A shield, a higher purpose, a promise to something outside of yourself. I think I'm really very interested in this one. I might, of the ones I've talked about so far, prioritize this one. Reviews wise, I always forget to tell you guys that. I look at it and then I forget to tell you. It's a 4.0 on Amazon, 3.7 on Goodreads. This next one is The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters. The beginning of that synopsis, July 1962. Following in the tradition of Indigenous workers from Nova Scotia. Oh, I'm gonna butcher that name, so I'm not even gonna say it. This family arrives in Maine to pick blueberries for the summer. Weeks later, 4-year-old Ruthie, the family's youngest child, vanishes. Okay, I'm getting God of the Woods vibes already, except the Indigenous part. Okay. Sorry, I'm not gonna go on a rant about God of the Woods, but okay, she is last seen by her 6-year-old brother Joe sitting on a favorite rock at the edge of a berry field. Joe will remain distraught by his sister's disappearance for years to come. Yeah, I wonder if that's kind of how I found this, was maybe I was looking at other people's reviews of The God of the Woods, which the premise of The God of the Woods is something I would typically love, and I loved another book with a similar premise. That'll be in my March wrap up that I'll be talking about that. Okay. Oh, okay. If I were smart, I would have all these ready to go. Okay, so The Berry Pickers, let's see if there's a popular highlight. No, the rating on Amazon is very good. It's 4.4 on Amazon, 4.1 on Goodreads. And yes, it's frequently bought together with this next book I'm going to talk about, maybe because I bought them together. I'm just kidding. Yes, so The Berry Pickers is described as a powerful message about truth, forgiveness, and healing, a harrowing tale of Indigenous family separation, a stunning debut about love, race, brutality, and the balm of forgiveness. Definitely excited for that one. This next one is The Frozen River by Ariel Lawhon. Okay, so this one is, like, I believe considered a mystery. And one of the things that I saw about it that made me want to pick it up was, and let's see if I can find it again. It was like for fans of Claire Fraser and Outlander are gonna love Martha, the main character. Okay, here we go. Fans of Outlander's Claire Fraser will enjoy Lawhon's Martha, who's brave and outspoken when it comes to protecting the innocent. So that was another little push. I didn't really need much of a push to get this, but this is the beginning of the synopsis. Maine, 1789. When the Kennebec River freezes, entombing a man in ice, Martha Ballard is summoned to examine the body. As a midwife and healer, her diary is a record of every birth and death, crime, and debacle that unfolds in the close-knit community of Hollowell. Seriously, this cover just was such a Red Riding Hood vibe. I just loved the cover, and I think that the synopsis sounds really intriguing. I love the comparison to Claire and Outlander. I love that series. I'm like on book 7 of that series, but I haven't picked it up in a long time. So yes, another one I'm so excited to get to. Okay, this one's gonna seem a little bit unusual for me. And again, this is one that I found when I was just in a rabbit hole on Amazon. And that is The Black Farm by, I don't know if it's Elias or Elias Withrow. This one, let me pull up. Oh, first, real quick, a popular highlight from this one. Oh, I do like this quick one here. This is what it means to age, I think. The days are long, but the years are short. That is so true. Yeah, this one, the reviews are what pushed me to get this one. 4.3 on Amazon. It's a best of book talk which that's always kind of fun to see what like book talk loves and if you agree or not. It does deal with some pretty difficult subject matter that personally could be very difficult to read, but I'm still wanting to. I'm curious about it. Yeah, I'll start just with like the synopsis here. After the loss of a child along with a slew of agonizing misfortunes, Nick and Jess decide to end their lives. Unable to cope with the misery that fills their days, they commit one last act together and die in loving relief. But when Nick wakes up, he soon realizes that death isn't the gentle darkness he expected. I'm gonna stop there. So yes, this one sounds pretty horrific. I don't know why, but usually this time of year, it's like it's autumn for me. Maybe it's because it's spring and autumn kind of like counterbalance each other, but I start craving thrillers, horror, suspense, mystery this time of year. And then in the summer, I kind of get away from that. And then in the autumn, I am craving them all again. So yeah, of this one, the next one, and maybe a couple I've already talked about, you're probably like, Jay, that is not your usual go-to that I'm used to seeing. So yeah, I'm very intrigued by this one and hope it isn't too dark. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be pretty dark, but yeah, very eager for this one. I'm gonna save the other spooky one for last, so I'm not just doing like mystery, thriller, horror. Okay, so this was my book of the month pick for March. I was super eager to get my hands on this because I absolutely loved Charlotte McConaughey's Migrations, which I read in early March. Loved that book. And this is her newest book, Wild Dark Shore. And that one, the beginning of the synopsis, Dominic Salt and his 3 children are caretakers of Shearwater, a tiny island not far from Antarctica. Home to the world's largest seed bank, Shearwater was once full of researchers, but with sea levels rising, the Salts are now its final inhabitants. Until, during the worst storm the island has ever seen, a woman mysteriously washes ashore. And I'm gonna stop there. Oh, this sounds really, really good. And I love her writing. Migrations blew me away. Let's see what we can find on this one. Like I said, it's relatively new. 4.5 and a 4.4 on Goodreads. Oh, it's gonna be so good, I bet. Okay, popular highlight, which is crazy. Sometimes books far older than this don't even have them. This was published March 4th, 2025. Okay, but here is the nature of life, that we must love things with our whole selves, knowing they will die. I'm not gonna read the middle one because I feel like out of context, this one. Loving a place is the same as having a child. They are both too much an act of hope, of defiance, and those are a fool's weapons. Wow. Yeah, very highly reviewed. I'm excited. I wish I could just do nothing but read for the next month. That would be amazing. Okay, I have one last book to talk about that I picked up, and then I'll move on to a couple of audiobooks that I have queued up and plan to read while, yes, on rollerblades, which I think I'm gonna have in my thumbnail. That was another spontaneous purchase that I did just before I picked up the Color Soft. I picked up new rollerblades. And yes, I think it's spring and summer. I'm gonna be on wheels a lot and probably listening to music sometimes, but other times I'll be listening to audiobooks. So I need to have a couple queued up. Okay, this book I'm super interested in and had it on Libby, but I'm like, oh, I just love the cover so much. I just really I need to have that on my bookshelves. And this is the consumerism that's poisoned my brain telling me this, I'm sure. I am actually very minimalist, almost in every other way other than books. So this one, I just couldn't let it go. I'm like, I need that cover. I need that cover. And if I love that book, that cover is gonna face out on my shelves. And yeah, so that is Blood Cruise by Matt Strandberg. Oh my gosh, this just sounds so good. Welcome aboard the Baltic Charisma. Tonight, 1,200 expectant passengers have joined the booze cruise between Sweden and Finland. The big old ship travels this route back and forth every day of the year. On this voyage, the passengers include a lonely old woman seeking adventure, A washed-up pop star reduced to running karaoke evenings, the 12-year-old cousins who were best friends before a family secret came between them, and the security guards who are trying to control the daily chaos on board. But this time is going to be different. And I know I'm reading a lot more than I would normally, but you'll see why. It's important that you know this. In the middle of the night, the ferry is suddenly cut off from the outside world. There is nowhere to escape. There is no way to contact the mainland, and no one knows who they can trust. So let's see what we can find on this one. Yeah, so this author is compared, or he's called like the Swedish Stephen King, and it's pretty highly rated for a thriller. Well, it's a 4.0 on Amazon. Very eager. That might be like maybe I'll do like a reading vlog coming up where I do like read thrillers and stuff in springtime. I don't know. And I don't have my phone, but I'll have to go grab it so I can tell you what books I have on Audible. And then books that I'm planning to read on my new e-reader, which I just love. I, like I said, have a physical copy of Fantastic Land, but I'm reading it on here. And I do have the book Modern Lovers from my library that I would like to read on here. That one, it's kind of funny how I found it. I've been watching the newest season of The White Lotus, and one of the characters was reading it at the pool. And I was like, oh, that looks cute. Like, that looks like something I would love. And so I just looked it up and was like, oh, I love the way that that looks. I love the way that it, yeah, I almost bought this one too, you guys, but I stopped myself. Yeah, because it wasn't like super highly rated. It's like a 3.8. Popular highlight. Well, actually, first let me read you the beginning of the synopsis. Come on, Jay. Okay, so the synopsis I just think sounds incredible. It says, friends and former college bandmates Elizabeth and Andrew and Zoe have watched one another marry, buy real estate, and start businesses and families, all while trying to hold on to the identities of their youth. But nothing ages them like having to suddenly pass the torch of sexuality, independence, and the ineffable alchemy of cool to their own offspring. Yeah, you're never gonna be cool to your kids. Yeah, so this one, I feel like, okay, so it's Friends meets Almost Famous meets the beach read you'll be recommending all summer. So I need some of that in my life. I think if I don't get it read this month, it'll be like for sure a book I pick up this summer. No popular highlights or anything. Not true. There is popular highlights. Okay, so one of them is parenthood is the only job that gets progressively harder every single year and you never, ever, ever get a raise. There was nothing about youth that was fair. The young hadn't done anything to deserve it, and the old hadn't done anything to drive it away. I mean, it sounds interesting, and like maybe it's a good time in my life to read a book like this. So I also have a couple other books on here that I just don't know that I'll get to. I did read The Butterfly Garden, which I think is a quartet. I think there's 4 of them. But the second one is like a completely different crime that it's covering. So that one's by Dot Hutchison, and it'll be in my March wrap up, whether I do that this month or wait and do a March-April wrap up. I have Ripe by Sarah Rose Etter, Comfort Me with Apples, which I showed in my unboxing. And then I do have one of Amazon's first reads books for the month of April in here, and that's When Stars Align by Melissa De La Cruz. I guess I kind of need to prioritize that for April, so I'll quick tell you guys what that one is, and then we'll move on to a couple of audiobooks that I have. Okay. Yeah, this is like a coming of age one. I actually had a really hard time deciding which book to pick this month. It's only my second month taking advantage of that benefit of a Prime subscription. Okay. I am sad to see that since a couple days ago when I picked this book, the reviews have gone down. I want to say it was like around a 4-star. Now it's a 3.6. So it's basically about these 3 friends. They were the darlings of Hollywood who rose to teen success to in-demand idols of screaming fans and paparazzi. They rode the momentum like there was no tomorrow, but nothing lasts forever. And I think it's like them going into adulthood. And it's interesting though, like of the ratings, only one person actually put like a reason why they rated it, and that's a 5-star. So I'm not gonna let that get in my head. Yeah, an entertaining and poignant coming of age story about 3 young celebrity friends who go through the ups and downs of fame in the glaring eye of the spotlight. That's a description that Mindy Kaling gave the book, which it's part of her book studio. And oh, and so I'll have this cover because my Oasis, I had a similar cover in a pop socket, and I just like it because it's like light and it's really easy to hold, comfortable. And I did get the option that came with the wireless charger and plant-based leather cover because like if I'm ever traveling with it, I want to have like a nice protective cover of like the front of the device. So definitely will be using this for if I take it out with me or travel, and for everyday use at home. I like having this setup with the pop socket. So yes, let me grab my phone and then I'll quick tell you about the books that I have queued up on Audible for my rollerblading adventures, which you know I like to take you with me on my trail runs and hikes. So for sure I'll take you along with me on this ridiculousness. I have not rollerbladed since my 20s. Yeah, it's been a while. So let me go grab my phone. I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, I'm like in my skater girl era. Can you guys tell? Okay, so the book that I'm currently reading on audiobook, I can't believe I had to grab my phone to remember this. Okay, so The Bandit Queens. This one came out a little over a year ago. I'm very early on into it. I'm 10% into the book. 5 years ago, Geeta lost her no-good husband, as in she actually lost him. He walked out on her and she has no idea where he is. But in her remote village in India, rumor has it that Geeta killed him. And it's a rumor that just won't die. So far from what I've read, it's funny, but that it's overall going to be like a feel-good type of story. I'm really liking it a lot. Okay, and then what else do I have queued up? Okay, so I do have the second book, The Butterfly Garden. The second book is The Roses of May, I think. That's the second book. I have that on Audible. I think it was just free, and I don't know why. Same with The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. So this one, Christopher and Hannah are a happily married surgeon and nurse with picture-perfect lives. All that's missing is a child. When Janie, an abandoned 6-year-old, turns up at their hospital, Christopher forms an instant connection with her, and he convinces Hannah they should take her home as their own. But Janie is no ordinary child, and her damaged psyche proves to be more than her new parents were expecting. Oh, sounds so good. Popular highlight, it gave us an opportunity to miss each other, and sometimes you needed that in a relationship, even when you loved each other as much as we did. I wished I were as optimistic as I pretended. I used to be, not anymore. That one's creepy. She crawled up on my lap and whispered in her sweet voice, I like hurting people. Do you? See, I told you, I'm in a headspace this time of year that this all sounds so entertaining to me. I want to be scared. This is also Best of Book Talk. 4.2 on Amazon, 4.0 on Goodreads. Almost 200,000 reviews on Goodreads. 177,000. Hopefully I don't get scared while rollerblading, but maybe it'll make me go faster. I do have an excuse a little bit for splurging as much as I did. Typically, I do not indulge this much in the things that I want, but March was when my birthday was. I did let myself, you know, take advantage of that and tax return season to get myself a couple things that I had wanted around my birthday, which of course are mainly book related, and then the rollerblades. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that maybe this gave you some inspo as far as like what book you should pick up next. That's my goal here. And for us to all be excited about the same books. That's what's so fun about this to me. I really appreciate you guys sticking around to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all doing well, and I will see you again soon in the next video. Bye!